important announcement as we approach the key decision day in this change election. And the decision, of course, is that after a lost Liberal decade of skyrocketing cost of living and crime, do the Liberals deserve a fourth term? Or is it time for a change with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, unleash home building and resource development, bring home our jobs to make our country strong for a change? That's the decision before us. But one of the things we have to do to bring home the Canadian promise, the promise that hard work gets you a good life in an affordable house on a safe street, is to protect our seniors. Imagine spending your life working hard, saving carefully, preparing for your retirement, only to see it all disappear seconds after a scammer comes in and takes over. One call, one click, and it's gone. Unfortunately, this is the experience of thousands of Canadians who have fallen victim to increasingly sophisticated frauds in recent years. After the lost Liberal decade with costs and crime up, the most vulnerable Canadians, especially our seniors, are left behind. They cannot risk a fourth Liberal term. A growing threat to all Canadians, but especially seniors, is predatory telephone and online scams. Let's hear some examples. An 81-year-old Montreal woman robbed of $100,000 when someone called pretending to be from her bank in a telephone scam described as sleek and professional. And in June of last year, again, right here in Montreal, 8 young men and women were scammed out of $30 million. 8 young men and women carried out a scam of seniors worth $30 million. According to conversations recorded by and obtained by police, the scammers started each call with the words, "Hi, Grandpa, hi, Grandma." And in Ottawa last year, 2 seniors were scammed out of $500,000 each in a new and sophisticated version of what the police call the grandparent scam, where criminals claim to be loved ones having financial trouble and needing money for bail. And in the recent and possibly the most harrowing case of all, a grandmother received a call late at night from what she thought was her son, telling her he had been arrested and needed thousands of dollars for bail. Only it wasn't her son. It was criminals using AI to mimic her son's voice, exactly designed to convince her to pay up. Can you imagine that? Do you imagine your 80-year-old mother getting a phone call from a voice that she thinks is yours, and you are asking her for money? Of course, your loving mother or grandmother would do anything for her kids or grandkids. And that heart of gold then makes her vulnerable to the worst, most sociopathic scam artists. How could anyone use the altruism of a mother to rob them of their life savings? It is appalling. In 2022, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Detection Centre received 17,000 reports of scammers targeting seniors, totaling $137 million in losses. That's just the tip of the iceberg, because only 5 or 10% of these cases even get reported. But we've all seen them. The suspicious text messages and robocalls. Sometimes they're easy to spot, but not always. But with AI and other technologies, the scams are more sophisticated and persuasive. Anyone can be taken in, and successful scams can drain savings within minutes. A lifetime of hard work can be robbed from the most wonderful people. These scams are a source of real anxiety for seniors who may worry that technological development means they can't trust anything is real anymore. Family members of older parents and grandparents know the stress well. I have 2 parents that are over 80. I'm not going to tell you exactly their age because my mother will kill me. She never told me her age. She accidentally entered it in Facebook when she set up her account, and that was how I finally learned her exact age. But anyway, we won't. She's still 39, if the truth be told, and she's my most important advisor. But we all love our parents, and we worry about them. We worry that life is becoming more complicated and dangerous for them, and that's why we need to protect our seniors, especially in this modern age. But the bad news is that after the lost Liberal decade, no action has been taken. No mandatory detection, no mandatory reporting, no accountability, even though these tools exist. That's why today I am announcing our plan to stop scammers who target Canadian seniors. We're going to pass the Stop Scamming Seniors Act, a common-sense law that forces banks and telecom companies to deploy state-of-the-art technology to catch scams and stop them before they happen, not after, when it is too late. This plan has a number of key steps. 1, we will mandate real-time scam detection systems by banks and telecoms, starting with seniors' accounts. 2, we will require automatic flagging and blocking of suspicious activity like unusual transactions or robocall traffic. 3, we will create the Seniors Transaction Shielding Protocol, a 24-hour hold on a high-risk transaction for seniors or anyone else who requests this extra protection with mandatory verification before money leaves their accounts. 4, we will impose public reporting requirements so Canadians know how many scams are being blocked or missed. 5, we will impose mandatory jail time of 1 year for $5,000 of fraud, 3 years for a fraud of over $100,000, 5 years for fraud over $1 million, and minimum fines that are 10 times the size of the frauds committed. You steal 50 grand, you'll pay 500 grand on top of your jail sentence. We want to financially cripple the fraudsters to deter their greed. 6, we will introduce tough penalties with up to $5 million per violation for companies that fail to deploy the latest technology to stop scams. 7, we will create a new criminal code offence, willful blind profiteering from fraud, holding executives criminally responsible if they knowingly let scams go unchecked. Our seniors deserve to feel safe and secure when they pick up their phones, iPads, or computers. So if you are a bank or telco, we want you to do everything you can to protect our beloved seniors who built this country. Under my government, we're going to stop these fraudsters, period. All Canadians deserve protection from crime. But under 3 terms of Liberals, all they've gotten is broken promises and failed policies. Violent crime is up 50%, gun crime up 116%, gang homicides up 78%, auto theft up 46%, and extortion up an eye-watering 357%. Enough. We need a new Conservative government that will stop crime, protect victims, and get criminals off the street locked behind bars, not on bail, not on parole. Only a new Conservative government will do that. We'll pass a 3-strikes-you're-out law, making anyone who's done 3 serious crimes ineligible for bail, parole, probation, or house arrest, with a minimum of 10 years behind bars and earned release required after that through perfect behavior, clean drug tests, and learning an employable skill. We will give life sentences to traffickers of human beings, of guns, and of fentanyl. And we will reintroduce a law that allows judges to impose consecutive sentences for multiple murderers. We will ensure multiple murderers never get out of jail. They will come out only in a box. Common sense sentencing with no more discounts for multiple murderers. Now, on this point, I have to say I was shocked by the incendiary comments of Mark Carney yesterday. Yesterday, Mark Carney said it was dangerous to keep multiple murderers in jail for life. Mr. Carney, do you know what's dangerous? Murder is dangerous. What's dangerous is Liberal laws that allow repeat murderers and repeat violent offenders to be released again and again on our streets. That is what's dangerous. You know what else is dangerous, Mr. Carney? Your house arrest law, passed by Liberals, which you want to keep in place, that allows the most violent predators to do their sentences in the comfort of their living room watching Netflix. Liberal Law C-5 allowed more than 700 sex offenders in Quebec to do their sentences at home. That's a 600% increase. Conservatives will repeal this dangerous Liberal law. You know what else is dangerous, Mr. Carney? Liberal Bill C-75, which lets violent criminals free within hours of their most recent arrest over and over and over again. You know what's dangerous, Mr. Carney? Last week in Vancouver, a man set 2 police officers on fire. We have since learned that the criminal who attacked these officers was out on bail and had 10 10, count them, Mr. Carney, outstanding charges, including for violent crimes. That's dangerous. And you know what's most dangerous of all? A fourth Liberal term of catch and release crime and chaos in our streets. So that's the choice. After a lost Liberal decade of skyrocketing crime and cost of living, of criminals released again and again, do you want to give them a fourth term? Or is it time for a change with a new Conservative government that will lock up criminals and make life affordable? Canadian seniors cannot afford a fourth Liberal term of crime and chaos. They need change. They need a new Conservative government that will restore Canada's promise. And that is what we will do. Not only will we protect seniors from crime, we will cut their income tax by 15%, allow them to earn up to $34,000 tax-free, and to keep their savings growing longer, should they so choose. Because the Canadian promise belongs most of all to the people who built our country, our seniors, our loved ones, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents. They deserve the Canadian promise, that their hard work gets them a beautiful home on a safe street under our proud flag. That's the change we want. Let's put Canada first for a change and bring it home. Thank you.
Merci.
Honda qui fait beaucoup réagir aujourd'hui. Est-ce que vous pensez que c'est le temps de contre-tarifs, ça a bugué un peu, laisser tomber les contre-tarifs sur les voitures? Est-ce que c'est le moment de le faire?
Tout d'abord, je condamne M. Trump pour ces tarifs non justifiés et non justifiables. C'est épouvantable qu'il continue de menacer le Canada avec les tarifs lorsqu'il a mis une pause sur les tarifs ailleurs au monde. Malheureusement, après la décennie perdue des libéraux, notre économie est plus faible et plus vulnérable que jamais. Les augmentations de taxes, de paperasse, le blocage de nos ressources naturelles nous a rendus extrêmement vulnérables et dépendants des Américains. Il faut que ça change avec un nouveau gouvernement conservateur qui va renforcer notre économie en coupant les taxes et les impôts sur l'investissement, l'énergie, la construction de logements et éliminer le TPS sur les voitures faites ici au Canada afin d'encourager les gens d'acheter les autos canadiens. C'est comme ça qu'on va renforcer notre économie. Il n'y a personne qui va pouvoir contrôler M. Trump, mais il faut contrôler ce qu'on peut contrôler, c'est-à-dire de renverser les politiques désastreuses, libérales que M. Carney a conseillées à Justin Trudeau et de faire un vrai changement pour renforcer notre économie et avoir encore un pays qui est sécuritaire, abordable et plein de promesses. Merci beaucoup.
En anglais, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you.
En anglais.
Non, on ne va pas laisser tomber. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much for your question. First of all, President Trump deserves nothing but condemnation for the unfair targeting of Canada. While he's lifting tariffs and backing down on tariffs all around the world, he continues to tariff our auto sector. There's nobody who's going to be able to control President Trump, as Mr. Carney is learning, despite his promises. What we should do is focus on what we can control, and that is to reverse the disastrous Liberal economic policies that Mr. Carney advised Trudeau to take that have driven up taxes, blocked our resources, wrapped our businesses in red tape, and driven $500 billion south. We need change. We can't afford a fourth Liberal term. We need change to axe taxes, cut red tape, approve resource projects, make this the best place in the world to do business. That will allow us to, once again, be a country where hard work pays off with a great paycheck and a reliable job in an affordable house on a safe street. What we need is change. This is a change election. Change so that you can afford food and a home. Change so that your paycheck grows faster than your cost of living. Change so that you're safe in your neighborhood. Thank you.
Merci. Prochaine question.
No, we should not lift the counter-tariffs.
Good morning. Sorry. Morgan Lowry, Canadian Press. On a different topic, I was wondering if you could tell us what you mean concretely when you say you'll end woke culture in the public service and the military.
Very simply, after a lost Liberal decade of dividing Canadians, turning people against each other, and weakening our armed forces, we need to put Canada first. We need to unite all Canadians around our common promise, a promise that hard work gets you a great life on a safe street, and by the way, in an affordable home under our proud flag. Unfortunately, the Liberals have been distracted from that mission. You know, I think, for example, their woke criminal justice agenda, which releases the same radically violent criminals onto our streets again and again and again. Instead of that, we should lock up the criminals. Their woke agenda on spending has doubled our debt, given us the worst inflation in 40 years, so that single moms are having to turn back some of the groceries that they're trying to buy when they get to the till and see the price. And it has endangered our people in our streets. We need to reverse that, get back to Canadian values of living within our means, leaving more in the pockets of the hardworking people, and letting people get ahead. So the election is really about change. Do you want a fourth Liberal term of skyrocketing costs and crime? Or do you think it's time for a new Conservative government that will change things so you can afford food and homes and be safe on your street? Thank you.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup. Par exemple, les politiques woke sur la criminalité qui permet des gens, des criminels les plus violents d'être libérés des centaines de fois sur nos rues. C'est des politiques libérales qui ont mis en danger notre population, les politiques woke qui causent l'inflation en doublant notre dette, en augmentant les taxes et les impôts. On ne peut pas prendre le risque d'un quatrième mandat libéral, des coûts et la criminalité qui s'explosent. Il nous faut un changement avec un nouveau gouvernement conservateur qui va couper les taxes et les impôts, rendre la vie abordable, donner le feu vert aux constructions de logements et de nos ressources naturelles et rétablir la promesse du Canada. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Prochaine question.
Bonjour, M. Poilievre,
oui, bonjour.
Arnaud de la presse canadienne. Aujourd'hui encore, vous arrivez avec des propositions de sentences plus sévères.
Merci.
Ça fait plusieurs jours que vous le faites. Vous l'avez fait dans plusieurs domaines. La loi des 3 prises, vous l'avez fait pour les condamnations multiples, vous l'avez fait pour les partenaires intimes. Est-ce que vous avez des données probantes qui démontrent que de resserrer les peines, de les rendre plus sévères, réduit la criminalité? Parce que si on regarde aux États-Unis, les peines sont plus sévères qu'ici et la criminalité plus élevée qu'ici.
Je vous encourage de regarder les données encore si vous êtes arrivé à cette conclusion, mais oui, j'ai des preuves concrètes et finales. Premièrement, dans les années Harper, on a réduit la criminalité de 25 % après qu'on a mis en place des peines plus sévères. Depuis l'arrivée au pouvoir des libéraux, qui ont enlevé toutes les politiques dures sur la criminalité, on a eu une augmentation de 50 % dans le crime violent. Est-ce que je devrais aller sur les différents types de crimes? Est-ce que vous voulez plus de spécifiques, monsieur? Parce que je peux vous donner, j'ai donné beaucoup d'exemples. Vous voulez parler des crimes faits avec les armes? C'est augmenté de 116 % depuis que les libéraux ont enlevé les peines obligatoires pour l'usage des fusils dans le crime. Ou quand les libéraux ont enlevé les peines obligatoires pour l'extorsion avec une arme, une augmentation de 357 %. Ou quand ils ont permis des voleurs de voitures de faire leur peine chez eux avec des peines Netflix, on a vu une augmentation de 46 %. Des meurtres commis par des gangs ont augmenté de 78 % depuis que les libéraux ont réduit les pénalités pour les gangs de rue. Donc, est-ce que ce n'est pas des données qui montrent qu'on laisse les criminels, les mêmes criminels, être libérés encore et encore, comme les libéraux ont fait, on aura plus de danger dans nos rues. Et quand on a eu l'expérience des conservateurs, il y a 10 ans, on a réduit la criminalité de 25 %. Donc, le débat est terminé. Libérer les criminels, ça rend la vie dangereuse. Après 10 ans des libéraux, on ne peut pas prendre le risque d'un 4e mandat. I'm just going to do that in English as well. The question was, do I have any evidence that locking up repeat violent offenders actually reduces crime? And the answer is, yes, I do. When Conservatives were last in power, we brought in mandatory jail time for serious repeat offenders. Violent crime went down by 25%. And incarcerations actually dropped because it deterred crime. Since the Liberals took office and passed catch and release, house arrest, and the get-out-of-jail-free card for Paul Bernardo, violent crime has exploded, up 50%. Gun crime, since they started got rid of the mandatory jail time for gun offenses, gun crime is up 116%. Murders by gangs, up 78%, right after the Liberals passed catch and release bail. Car theft went up 46% after Liberals brought in house arrest for car thieves who can now sit around in their living room playing Grand Theft Auto while they're serving their sentences. Extortion went up 357% after the Liberals eliminated mandatory jail time for extortion with a gun. So those are the facts. You let repeat violent offenders back out on the street, you get more crime under the Liberals. That's the record. We cannot afford the danger and risk of a 4th Liberal term of catch and release criminal justice. We need a change to lock up repeat offenders, make our streets safe, and restore the Canadian promise with a new Conservative government.
Merci. On va maintenant passer à la dernière question.
Morning. Christopher Nardi from the National Post. I'm going to quote a well-known parliamentarian and say this is just a simple yes or no question. Will you defund the CBC within 100 days of government?
I don't have a time frame, but we've already said I've already made my position clear on that, and it hasn't changed. We're going to defund the CBC and let Canadians enjoy it as a non-profit, self-funded organization. Yeah, which is what I've said all along, while protecting services at Radio-Canada, because without Radio-Canada, the francophones across the country would not have access to that information.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup. On a déjà annoncé il y a 2 ans, plus de 2 ans, qu'on allait définancer. Est-ce que je peux vous donner la date exacte? Non, mais c'est une décision que j'ai déjà annoncée il y a des années. On va protéger, comme je viens de dire en anglais, on va protéger les services de Radio-Canada parce que sans Radio-Canada, il n'y aurait pas de services en français dans beaucoup de communautés à travers le Canada. Moi, j'ai pu pratiquer mon français que j'avais perdu pendant mon adolescence en écoutant Radio-Canada dans l'Ouest canadien. Donc, il y a une valeur qui n'existerait pas sans l'aide du gouvernement.
Merci, ça conclut la
Thank you very much.
conférence de presse.
All right.